Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, I just wanted to comment, Ms. Moore said she was in the legislature. I was also in the Minnesota State Legislature when we dealt with this. And I thought, I didn't have 100 amendments, I probably had a couple at the time, but I thought we did a fairly good job. Problem is that over the years, so much has been undone. What we did there in the late 90s, but over the years it's been undone. And so did mention I was from Minnesota, so I have to say something about it. And we really appreciated your years with Minnesota, but my staff makes me add, you know what, we don't appreciate your time with the Packers beating up on the Vikings. So, but in all seriousness, I genuinely appreciate all of the witnesses being here because, it's important that we hear from folks, particularly Mr. Underhill, Mr. Favre, taxpayers. You have experience, you understand, and so I appreciate you being here because in the end, that was one of the things in Minnesota that we had to remember as we went through this, and while we're here, we have to remember it too, is that it's taxpayer dollars we are talking about, and so that accountability, that oversight, the requirements that we have on that is so critical. But Mr. Edison, I just wanted to ask you, there's statutory purposes for TANF. And we had a bill a while back about pregnancy care centers, and I know there was talk about Mississippi's policy, but other abortion policies, and so pregnancy care centers provide so much help there, and they offer a wide variety of services, support for mothers, families, and fathers, and they offer counseling, ultrasounds, parenting, prenatal education, diapers, all kinds of things. In your opinion, do those pregnancy care centers, such as some of the things that I mentioned, fit into one of those purposes for TANF? At least one of them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 4 objectives of TANF to help needy children be cared for in their home, to reduce government dependency of parents, prevent out-of-wedlock pregnancies, and the creation and formation of 2-parent families. I think it's pretty safe to say those community-based pregnancy centers fall within that scope.
So I feel like it's very important, that for those needy families, that the pregnancy care centers not only provide tangible material supports, but they also offer, like you mentioned, promoting strong families and marriage. However, you may be aware, and we had the legislation last fall, the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Family Assistance Administration for Children and Families proposed a rule that could restrict states from using TANF funding for pregnancy care centers. And the Biden-Harris administration argues that pregnancy care centers should not be eligible for that for a variety of reasons, but one of those because they only help women after they become pregnant, and which to me doesn't make sense. But how important is it that Congress exercises its authority to reform TANF through statute to provide states with clear and reliable rules for TANF instead of depending on Health and Human Services to issue regulations and guidance?
Thank you, Representative. Yeah, it's a great question, and I think things need to be clear in statute. It is an issue. I saw that in the agency. If there's any vagueness in the law, the bureaucrats will make the law, and that needs to be dealt with. I think one of the solutions is having state legislatures sign off on these TANF plans. They need to have oversight over them and not leave it solely up to the folks in the department to make those calls. So I think statutory clarity is good. Again, just balancing it with the flexibility that has been successful, I think is important, but putting in guardrails so that it's all done within the lines in statute would be great.
And I appreciate that because I think sometimes, with the guidelines and the rules, I sometimes call them DC need ideas, and they don't understand that really, and they're passing a lot of these regulations and so-called guidelines. They don't really understand what's happening on the ground and the importance of what they're doing. So, but I appreciate, thank you very much, and thank you for all of you for being here, and with that, I yield back.